Breaking tonight, a bombshell revelation out of Donald Trump's White House. For years, Trump bragged about tariffs, calling them his signature move to punish China and put America first. But a stunning new report shows it was never about the economy. Behind closed doors, Trump and his aides kept a secret scorecard of American companies, tracking who was loyal to him and who wasn't. It wasn't about jobs, it wasn't about trade. It was about power, punishment, and personal loyalty. And tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on how Trump used tariffs not as a policy, but as a weapon against corporate America, all while pretending it was about helping ordinary Americans. This is corruption at the highest level, and the evidence is right in front of us. Let's start with the tariffs themselves. Donald Trump pitched them as his economic superpower, a way to make China pay up and bring jobs back to America. But here's the truth. Tariffs aren't paid by foreign governments. They're paid by you, by American consumers every time you go to the store. Prices went up on everything from washing machines to groceries. Farmers struggled. Small businesses couldn't compete with rising costs. And foreign investment? It dried up because no one wanted to gamble on Trump's trade wars. Economists called it a self-inflicted wound. And while Trump was tweeting about the greatest economy ever, families were watching their bills climb higher and their paychecks stretch thinner. Tariffs weren't boosting America. They were quietly bleeding Americans dry. And it gets worse. Trump's tariff scheme may not just be bad policy, it could actually be illegal. Right now, the Supreme Court is weighing cases that challenge the very foundation of those tariffs. If the court rules against Trump, billions of dollars could have to be refunded. Think about that. Billions collected under a system built on political vanity could be sent right back, because the whole structure was unconstitutional. And that's what terrifies Trump. Not just losing face, but losing what he always craved most, ultimate unchecked power. Because once the law steps in, his entire economic legacy collapses like a house of cards. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Behind the scenes, Trump's White House wasn't just collecting tariffs, they were collecting names. According to insiders, aides kept a secret scorecard, tracking which American companies were loyal to Trump and which ones dared to criticize him. Did a CEO praise Trump on Fox News? They got favorable treatment. Did a company speak out against his policies? Suddenly they found themselves on the wrong side of a tariff decision. This wasn't about trade. This was about control. Trump turned U.S. economic policy into a loyalty test, weaponizing tariffs like mob-style punishment. And for the companies caught in his crosshairs, the message was chilling. Get in line, or pay the price. So what did all of this mean for ordinary people? It meant you were footing the bill for Trump's personal vendettas. When Trump slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum, the price of cars went up. When he targeted China, the price of electronics, clothing, even food shot higher. Farmers in the Midwest, the very people who made up Trump's base, were crushed by retaliatory tariffs from China. Soybeans sat rotting in silos. Family farms went bankrupt. And what did Trump do? He handed out billions in bailout checks, paid for by taxpayers, to cover up the mess his own policy created. It wasn't America first. It was Americans last, while Trump used the economy as his personal scoreboard. And while Americans were paying the price, the rest of the world was taking notes. Our closest allies, Europe, Canada, Japan, were blindsided when Trump targeted them with tariffs too. These weren't adversaries. These were partners who fought beside us for decades. Instead of strengthening alliances, Trump sparked trade wars with friends and foes alike. Leaders in Europe called his policies reckless. Canada hit back with tariffs of their own. And Japan quietly began shifting business ties to China because they could no longer rely on the U.S. The result? America's credibility took a nosedive. The world stopped seeing us as a dependable leader and started seeing us as a dangerous wild card. Trump didn't just isolate the U.S. from adversaries. He weakened our standing with allies, the very foundation of global stability. And back home, the political fallout was brutal. Republicans in Congress who once cheered Trump's tough-on-trade stance started to whisper behind closed doors. Farm state senators were furious as their constituents bled money. Manufacturing districts saw jobs disappear instead of return. Even some of Trump's most loyal backers began questioning whether the tariffs were worth the pain. Polls showed voters trusted Democrats more on the economy, A stunning reversal from Trump's so-called strongest issue. And here's the kicker. While everyday Americans struggled, Trump's inner circle and wealthy donors found ways to profit from the chaos. Insiders made millions trading stocks on industries they knew Trump was about to hit or spare. For Trump, it was never about policy. It was always about power, optics, and profit. And when the cracks began to show, he did what he always does: blame everyone else. So, when you zoom out, what's the big picture here? Trump's tariff war wasn't some master plan to protect American jobs. It was a political stunt that backfired. He promised factories would roar back to life, but instead, supply chains cracked, inflation surged, and trust in U.S. leadership evaporated. The lasting damage is still with us today. Companies moved production overseas to escape the chaos. Farmers spent years digging out from losses. And allies we alienated? They built new trade partnerships without us, reshaping the global economy in ways that weakened America's influence. Trump claimed he was playing 4D chess. But the truth is simple. He played a reckless game, and Americans ended up paying the price, financially, politically, and globally. This wasn't strength. It was sabotage, done in broad daylight, with the receipts piling up for history to judge. At the end of the day, Trump's so-called economic genius was nothing more than a dangerous illusion. He told his supporters that tariffs would make America rich, but instead they made everyday life more expensive, bankrupted farmers, and weakened our alliances across the globe. This is the Trump playbook: cause chaos, deny responsibility, and then try to spin the wreckage as a win. But here's the truth. America deserves leaders who fight for working families, not ones who gamble away our future for applause lines. And as voters look ahead, they'll have to ask themselves one simple question: can we afford another round of Trump's medicine? Because the last dose nearly broke us.